the thing is, these 4 stages are fluid. It doesn't mean that once you hit level 4, you stay at level 4. If you don't continue to improve yourself, you're not continuing to journal, you can regress.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Anarchy Podcast. 99% of traders will never make consistent profits. So why listen to the 99% of advice? On this show, we're going to challenge some of the most hallowed and repeated tenets of trading, and in doing so, set you up to succeed where others fail. Spoiler alert, we don't have a secret strategy or magic wand that will let you skip out on the hard work of learning the markets, but we can debunk viewpoints that are holding you back. If that sounds good to you, come join us.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Anarchy Podcast. Do you ever wonder where you are in your day trading journey? All the weeks and months and years can blend together, and sometimes it's difficult to know if you're making progress or not. So, if so, this show is for you. Today, Jordan's going to walk us through the 4 stages of day trading, and maybe you'll be able to gain some insight and see where you are on this list and maybe what you can do to progress to the next stage. Jordan, how you doing?
Doing well. Welcome. How are you today, Levi?
I'm doing great. I just woke up. I am on a night schedule right now, so it's 4 it's 4 p.m. and I just woke up. So I'm a little dead inside. If I sound a little bit groggy or out of it or tired, that's why.
Yeah, well, it's six
But
o'clock in the morning here. I just woke up too. So we just woke up at the same time,
I'll
just on
look at that.
opposite
Oh,
sides of the world.
we're going to be just bringing all the energy to the podcast listeners today, for sure.
All the energy, all the energy. But yeah, great intro. And this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, right? I come from a medical background, so psychology has always been something I've kind of been interested in before I got into trading and the trading psychology, right? And
Hmm.
I was going through, we've probably all see the memes where it shows like the levels of day trading or the stages of day trading, and it's just someone progressively getting rougher and rougher looking, right? And then at the end, it's just somewhat like a complete pile of garbage. Like we've all seen those. And but today, what I wanted to discuss is the actual 4 levels, more borrowed from psychology, instead, and discuss how that can affect and how that can help us improve our trading. So the first level that we will be in when we first start day trading is unconscious incompetence. And what I mean by that is you don't know yet how unknowledgeable you are about the given subject, right? So
Hmm.
we get excited. We see an advertisement for a prop firm, or we see a YouTube video of someone saying, I just made a bunch of money, and we go, this is awesome. I could be rich. All I have to do is hit buy and sell, follow some of these nice little indicators or these signals, and I'll make money. So that's level 1,
Hmm.
unconscious incompetence. And that is what most traders start off at. And sadly, though, this is where a lot of traders never leave. They end up being stuck on level 1, unconsciously incompetent because they don't know how to trade.
I distinctly remember where we were at the stage when we first started, right? When we first began kind of dipping our toes into the water of day trading, and we were listening. We had a mentor, and we were paper trading specifically, and it seemed so easy.
It did. It did. I remember that whole first month where we're just going, this is easy, man. What's wrong with
Oh,
people?
yeah, I remember having that conversation with you. We actually, at least we had enough experience to know that it seemed too good to be true. And we were questioning ourselves. We were like, dude, it's too easy, right? Could this be it? Like like are we just like why is it so easy right now? Like what are we doing? Why is it like maybe we're just amazing. I don't know what's up with this. Why is it so easy? And we I remember having those conversations because it was just we just had no idea. We just had no idea what we didn't know. Yeah, that unconscious incompetence. We didn't know how bad we still were.
Yeah, exactly. And that then led us into level 2, which is conscious incompetence. So this gets to the point where, okay, maybe you've been trading a while. For instance, we had Bob on our podcast a few weeks ago, and a great podcast. Go listen to that two-parter if you haven't already. And he mentioned that he'd been trading for a long time, but he still wasn't profitable. And we went on to dissect maybe some of the reasons why that was. And it happens to be in level 2, where he is conscious of the fact that he's incompetent, and he knows why, right? And so, or maybe some people don't know why, but at least they know what they don't know. And this is essentially, I mean, 95 to 99% of traders never leave level 1 or level 2. They're either unconsciously incompetent, but then they move to consciously incompetent, where they've been trading for 2 or 3 years and they know all the basics of what they need to know about trading. They know about stop losses, they know about strategies, but they are still unable to be profitable. Sometimes they have those highs and they go, I've got it. And then they go, no, I don't got it. And they just ride this wave, but they never quite get to the point where they go, yeah, I'm actually starting to actually consistently get this.
So I was actually going to, when you first originally said most people never make it past stage 1, I was going to challenge that, because
Yeah,
I
you're
was like,
probably right.
well,
It was a bit of
no,
a generalization.
no, I think you're right. I think you're right, because that it makes sense, because unconscious incompetence. I was thinking most people make it to the second stage, which is conscious
Yeah,
incompetence. They know that they're bad, but it's not just knowing that you're bad, it's knowing why you're incompetent. And
exactly.
most people don't. It's like
It's
most people.
true.
I remember when I first started trading with a real account and I lost 30 trades in a row. 30, okay? And okay, I was conscious that I was bad. Like, I knew I was bad, but I didn't know why, right? I didn't know why I was bad. So I was still in stage 1. So that's really interesting. The conscious incompetence, it's not just knowing that you're bad, but it's starting to gain an understanding of why specifically you're bad, right? Because I remember
Yeah.
those early conversations with you where we were starting to learn, where we were starting to lose a ton of money and lose a lot in a row, and we didn't know why. And we would have these conversations looking over our trade journals going, what changed? Like, we were just killing it. What's going different? And we didn't know. And so that's really interesting. The conscious incompetence isn't just knowing that you're bad, but starting to gain an understanding of why you're bad. And that's actually really powerful. And I think a lot of people don't make it to that stage. They never get to a point where they kind of know why they're failing. So they maybe do get stuck at stage 1.
Hey everyone, Levi here to quickly ask if you're finding value in the podcast. We would love it if you'd take a moment to follow the show and leave a review. It helps us out a lot and enables us to bring you the best possible content. Thanks for being part of the community. We love you guys.
What takes the traders to stage 2 would be probably biggest thing would be journaling, right? Because once you start journaling, that journaling is what is going to enable you to become consciously incompetent. It's going to enable you to actually start becoming knowledgeable about, okay, these are the things that I don't know, or these are the things that I am messing up and that I can improve in order to move from level 2, conscious incompetence, to level 3, which is conscious competence, which means at this point, you sit down at the computers, you have your list of rules maybe on a piece of paper next to the computer. You log in, you do follow this very specific routine, you do this, and now you start making money. But level 3, I think, is where you go from being, okay, I've been consistently losing money, or I've been at break even, to where you suddenly go, I've been doing something right, because I look at my journal, I look at my P&L, and for the past, month, 2 months, 3 months, I have been seeing a steady progression upwards. You have now entered conscious competence. You're sitting down, you're having to put in a lot of focus, you're burning a lot of brain power, you're still probably over analyzing the markets, you're having to follow these rules very carefully, and it's a very fine line, but you're actually starting to make profit. That's what all of us are aiming for when we're beginning trading is just getting to the point where we are consciously competent. It means we're constantly refining it. It means that our strategies still aren't good. We're still getting in too early. We're still getting out. We're still getting out late. We're leaving money on the table. Whatever it may be, we're going into too much drawdown. We're still making a bunch of mistakes, but we're consciously competent because at the end of the day, we now have an upward trajectory because we've learned what we need to do, and we've managed to actually mitigate some of those risks that we have in trading to the point where we are starting to make money.
Yeah, so like you said, competence is the that's the goal, right, for any day trader, at least beginning, right? Just be competent. I just
Yeah.
want to be good. I just want to be okay. Whether or not I have to think through everything, check through all my rules. And this, by the way, is why it's really important to be following, like learning discipline early on, because discipline is really, really boring. And frankly, it's more important early on to learn discipline than to make money. Because if you're disciplined into following your rules, eventually that will lead to competence. The problem is a lot of the time we try to take shortcuts, try to make money the point early on, try to get to competence early. And frankly, the most important thing early on is to focus on that conscious part of being really aware of what you do, what doesn't work, what gives you the best success, and then leaving everything else alone, right? You know you're best at these specific times, taking this amount of trades, and you're very focused on being disciplined into doing that, making rules around that, being very conscious of what makes you competent in the first place. Okay, so conscious competence. You know that you're good and you know what makes you good and profitable. If I'm following the pattern here, I think I know where this is going. What's the final stage
Yeah.
and how
So,
do you get
of
there?
course, as you mentioned, you probably know where we're going with this. The level 4 is unconscious competence. This is the nirvana of trade, the gurus of trading, right? This is where you can sit down at the computer. You already know your rules. You don't, and again, we're always going to have emotions. Like, we're humans, we have emotions, but your emotions don't control you. This is where you sit down. It doesn't matter if you have 10 losing trades in a row. That's not going to bother you because you know you have your edge. You know, if you follow your plan, that you are going to be profitable in the long term. This is where you know that you're not even going to be looking at the charts. If you know it's not your time to be trading, you're not going to be feeling fear about, oh, I didn't take a trade today. This is where you're able to sit out and simply just watch the market. If it's not showing you the look, again, this is the implicit learning, it's not showing you the look that you've learned. That's what unconscious incompetence is. It's where the point where you're not having to stare at your rules on the table next to you. It's not where you have to have this little sticker chart, right, that you put a sticker on every time you follow your rules for the day. You've gotten to the point where you know, okay, I show up at this time, I do A, play B, and C, and I leave. And you leave the result, and the results are then just guided by the market. You know, if you read Trading in the Zone, Mark Douglas, great read, go read it. Essentially, that's what he spends his entire book talking about, is getting to the point where you are unconsciously competent at trading.
So are there any dangers when you're at that stage? Because like every now and then you hear about experienced people who blow their account or do something stupid. Is there a danger that when you get to unconscious competence that you can, because your everything is second nature, that you can get I guess you can get comfortable, get to the point where you're not thinking and then do
Oh,
something
for sure. And I
stupid?
think we've all heard it. You can go from being unconsciously competent to go back to being consciously incompetent. Like, the thing is, these 4 stages are fluid. It doesn't mean that once you hit level 4, you stay at level 4. If you don't continue to improve yourself, you're not continuing to journal, you can regress. Like, none of this, it's not like, oh, I've reached level 4. It's
Hmm.
like, that's what I also want to point out. Like, um, beginner trader, just because you put in 3 great months in a row and you go, yeah, I've made it, I can finally trade. Be warned, because if you're not very intentional, you can regress to the point where you get cocky. You then end up doing a couple revenge trades, and next thing you know, you've blown up accounts. Like we all know that has happened.
Yeah, I remember going backwards because it happens where you make a couple trades that don't follow your
Yeah.
rules, but you win. And then that changes how you trade without thinking about it. So you can go from consciously incompetent in your, like when I was learning, right? When you're learning, from consciously incompetent, you know why you're failing, to all of a sudden you're failing a bunch again and you don't know why. And so I remember us going back to my journal and going, oh man, dude, I'm not following any of my rules anymore. Like, what am I doing? So that's an interesting point, making sure you're continually growing. Even once you reach that magic final stage, make sure you're continuing to track, continuing to get better. You're always chasing that final like 0.1% gain every month. You're always chasing, removing slight inconsistencies. You're always trying to get better. If you're not as a professional football player, if you're not always watching tape, it doesn't matter if you're the GOAT. It doesn't matter if you're the best of all time. If you're not constantly in there looking at tape, you can get worse. You can regress. It's a constant battle to get better.